Hello readers, I'm Amy and I'm your nonfiction feminist. Let me just preface this by apologizing for any variances in my voice. I am very sick. I'm just slightly less sick on the evening that I'm filming this than I have been all day, so I decided to take advantage of that. Also, if the editing's a little funky with the cuts, it's because I'm cutting out all of the parts where I'm having a coughing fit. So, this month, my channel is celebrating 6 months of being on Booktube. I have been here since April, and in celebration of that, I decided to go ahead and start filming a series that I'm probably going to call Becoming a Booktuber. I kind of like the alliteration, and everyone's videos are called How to Booktube or Booktube 101, so I'm trying to come up with an alternate title. I don't know that there's a lot of options there, but yes, 6 months. Happy 6 months to me. Also, shout out to Hillary from Melted Books. She started around the same time that I did, so happy 6 months, Hillary. So this video in particular is going to be more tips and things that I've learned and things that I have suggestions on with your first 6 months of being on Booktube. I will go more into techie stuff whenever I hit 1 year in April of 2020. So let's go ahead and get this started with be prepared. That's the first thing on my list. And yes, all of the things on my list are very cliche, but just because they're cliche does not mean that they're wrong. So for my first tip on being prepared, watch YouTube. Don't just be on YouTube by watching other booktubers or doing like I do and watching videos on how to get more popular on YouTube or Instagram or ideas for content or ideas for filming. By watching these videos, you can better your content, you can get inspiration for new videos, you can see what everyone else is doing out there and seeing what readathons you might engage in, for instance. So don't just be here, but participate and watch other videos on YouTube. Don't just assume that you know everything off the bat, because there's a lot of information out there. Also, in Be Prepared, I'm going to suggest taking the classes. I highly recommend watching a bunch of videos on just like how to better your presence on camera, or how to get used to being in front of the camera, or how to take certain shots, how to make interesting thumbnails. Just take a bunch of classes and teach yourself. I find that in knowledge, there's some comfort. So if you know how to do some of the things, or if you learn how to do some of the things before you actually do the things, it's gonna turn out a little better. Next up in being prepared, always have backup content. I filmed a video earlier this week that I ended up releasing on Thursday, which was my underrated books video, but I didn't have anything backup for this weekend, and I wasn't even sure if this video was gonna get made because I was very, very sick, and I had no backup, so I suggest having backup. Emily from Books with Emily Fox recently had a really major jaw surgery that left her just out of it for 2 months, and she made a lot of backup video to continually release to keep people interested in her content, to make sure that people are still benefiting from her channel. I'm not saying you have to come up with 2 months worth of content, but have some backup video for a rainy day. And my last little bit on my Be Prepared section is take notes. I have a whole back and front page of notes for things to talk about during this video, because I always forget something. For every single video that I have made, there has been something that I've forgotten that I've seriously regretted not talking about. So take notes. I'm not saying you have to be scripted, I'm just saying be prepared. My next tip, be basic. Everyone on Booktube is going to say it's not a popularity contest. And yeah, it's not a popularity contest, but you're on social media, so it is a popularity contest. Like, you know you're probably not going to make it big when you're talking about books, but you still want people to really watch your videos. It's just, you know, really good ego boost and everything. So in doing that, and also just in getting started, I'm gonna say be basic. Do the TBRs, do the hauls, do the wrap-ups. That content may not be interesting to everybody, but that is the content that Booktube was built on, and that Booktube continues to build itself off of. And just starting with something like a wrap-up is also just a really easy way to ease yourself into Booktube and getting used to being in front of the camera. You don't have to come up with the super creative stuff right off the bat. Do the basics and build your channel off of that. I like having something that a lot of people have done before and that I can just go off of and be like, well, here's the formula that people follow for a wrap-up, so maybe I'll change mine according from best to worst, or the order in which I read things. Be really basic in getting started, and don't put too much pressure on yourself. By the way, thank you to everyone who stuck through the awkwardness of the beginning of my channel. In fact, shout out to everyone who has that super awkward start, or who follows Booktubers through the super awkward start of their channels and on to their growth and the bettering of their content. Seriously, if you can get through the awkward phase, you are a rock star. Also, do the tags. People look up the tags, which can get views for your videos, and tags are my favorite videos to do. I think they're super fun. I love it when people come up with these questions that go with this really awesome theme, and you just get to do whatever you want with it. My favorite tag that I've done so far has been the reread, rewrite, or burn tag. That was really fun. I just wrote down an equal number of books that I loved, books that I hated, and books that I was kind of in the middle on, and then I just mixed them all up, pulled 3 out, and had to decide, fuck, marry, kill. Reread, rewrite, or burn. And it was a ton of fun. It wasn't anything really scripted. I just flew by the seat of my pants, and I loved every second of it. So do the tags. Things like tags and wrap-ups and the other basics can get your channel noticed. Whether or not people decide to stick around after they viewed your video, you still get the views, and that can prop up your video in the search results and maybe get more people interested in the future. Also note that being original and having original content takes time. Take the time to watch YouTube and look at the TBRs and wrap-ups and how people built their channels from there and the different ideas that they came up with. And off of that, come up with your own ideas and brainstorm off of that and be inspired by others. Take the time to really think about what you want to do if you have an original idea, so you can work out the kinks and make it the best it can be when you finally premiere that idea. In building your channel and finding out what your channel is and where you're going to go from here, you'll eventually develop your own voice, but again, that takes time. Are you the literary person with the English degree? Are you the person who reads like 20 books in a month of a certain genre and just has a ton of fun doing that? Are you the person who hosts all the readathons? Are you super bubbly, or are you more like down, trying to keep it just as basic as possible? Who knows? Just take some time to figure out who you are and who you are in your channel, and just get used to being in front of the camera. My next big tip is engage. For one thing, schedule your uploads. A lot of people don't schedule, and for a lot of people that works. Me, I like to have a schedule. Right now, I'm doing Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. After this month, I'm going to be taking more time to try and do better on my videos, and I'm just going to go back to my original schedule of Wednesday, Sunday that I got set. It's good to know, not only for you, but for your audience when you're going to post. I know some booktubers that I really love their content, but some of them only post once every month or two, and I don't know when I'm gonna see any more content for them. So sometimes I think, is it really worth it to follow them? Because yeah, I really love their stuff, but I never know when or if they're gonna appear again. So not only do I like to schedule things for myself so that I know when am I working, when am I gonna take time to film, when am I going to take the time to upload, because that takes a while, when am I going to take time to edit, and I can schedule that time for different parts of my week so I can make sure that I'm getting content up. And it also pushes me to think, what's my next idea, what's the next thing that I want to film, what should be the next thing coming up on my channel, and I can schedule that out, and again, I can have a set idea of what my week looks like as far as work, as far as YouTube, as far as social media. It's good to have the schedule for you so you stay sane, and for your audience so they know that you're going to come up with more content, and so that they know when to expect that content. For me personally, I think scheduling's a huge thing. Again, not everyone does it, but I tend to prefer the booktubers who do. That said, going back to Emily from Books with Emily Fox, she had to take some time off for some pretty major surgery, and if she hadn't come up with 2 months of videos, that's fine. She told us ahead of time, hey, like, I've got this really big thing going on, my posts are gonna be a little different. If you're sick or something, like me, who's being ridiculous and actually shooting this video, if you're sick, like, take that time off. Maybe pop something on Twitter, on your Instagram story saying, hey, like, probably not gonna post today, I'm really sick. And again, though, that kind of goes back to having backup video. But also, don't put too much pressure on yourself. If you don't have the backup, if you're really just not feeling in that place, then take the time for yourself. I mean, this is just YouTube. It's a hobby. Most people aren't going to get famous from doing this. Another point with engagement is the engagement itself. Interact with your viewers' comments. Interact with comments from the viewers on videos that you watch. Interact with commenters on other people's photos on Bookstagram. Like, if you want to build your community, you got to interact with people. Comment on people's comments. Comment on your own videos. Say like, oh, hey, I couldn't figure out the links in the cards. Someone helped me out with this, and someone helped me out with that on my last video. Like, comment on people's videos, interact with people. That's a great way to build your community. Another great note on engaging with people is do the readathons, do the book challenges, join people in their little book club things that they do, or in their buddy reads. Like, even if readathons and challenges aren't really your thing, getting involved in those can really build you an audience and build you a community. The very same moment that I joined Booktube, Nicole from A Beautiful Chaos of Books was getting ready to start her mental health-a-thon in May. I had an awesome time with that. I got to really focus on psychology and mental health in my reading. I got to know Nicole and a bunch of other people in the community. Just that one readathon for that 1 month really gave me a boost when I got started. Another big lesson I learned in engagement is check your spam regularly. For some reason, Hillary from Melted Books would comment on my videos, and the comment would come up on my phone like, hey, you have a comment, but it would only give me like part of her comment, and I would click on it and it wouldn't be there. Ends up I had to keep checking my spam and unchecking her to make sure that she would actually show up. I was doing the same thing on her videos where I just wasn't quite showing up, and apparently I'm still doing that on her videos. So, if you learn nothing else from this video, learn from Hillary and I that you need to check your spam, because YouTube apparently flags some comments that don't really need to be flagged, and then it lets the hate comments just kind of slide past. And that's my last point on engagement, the hate comments. Do not engage with the hate comments. You will not change their minds. You will not stop them from being terrible people. If you respond to the hate comments, you just fuel the fire. And I am still learning that. I still want to engage with those comments. I still sometimes do, because I still think they're idiots if they think this way. They're horrible people if they say this. But trust me, engaging with the hate does nothing. It will not change anything. Do not engage. Do not give them that attention. Just mark the comment as something for YouTube to look at that's harassing and just move on. And my last super cliche point in this video is be yourself. Yeah, I'm gonna go there. Be yourself. The most cliche and yet true thing that I could possibly say. Being yourself is a lot easier than being a personality. Actors are good at their jobs for a reason, or at least most actors are good at their jobs for a reason. They've studied it, they study the people that they're supposed to act out, they try and take on that personality, but they get paid for it for a reason. Like, acting is a job. Acting is a lot of work. Be yourself, it'll save you so much time and energy. That said, besides just bettering yourself, make sure you're also improving on yourself. Even if you have the greatest, best start on Booktube and on your channel, that doesn't mean that you can't improve. You can improve your quality, maybe work on cutting out your so's and ums and ahs. I still struggle with so and so yeah. It's a really tough habit to break. Also, try not to edit a cut after every single sentence. I did watch one Booktuber who, after every single sentence and after every couple of words, she would have this cut in her edits. And it was just so awkward. And eventually I unsubscribed. I could not watch that. Work on your pacing, work on your so's, ums, and ahs, and it'll better your editing. It'll allow you to go for a longer cut and have a smoother video. Also, with being yourself, it takes time to get used to this. Talking to a big black dot sitting in front of me does not come naturally. My best tip for this is film a practice video. Not only will filming a practice video get you used to the technology that you're using, it'll also help you get used to talking to the big black hole in front of you. Or if you've got a phone, talking to your image. But also, you really shouldn't talk to your image, you should talk to the black hole, whether that's on one end of your phone or in the middle of your camera, because looking at the picture kind of offsets your eyes a little bit. It's still a terrible habit of mine. I've been doing this for 6 months and I cannot help staring at myself as I film this. I'm practicing looking at the hole, but that doesn't come naturally. This doesn't come easy. Do a practice video. Do a couple of practice videos. Get used to your technology, get used to talking to your camera, get used to talking to yourself out loud. And I still feel awkward filming in front of my husband because he's basically listening to me talk to myself out loud. It's weird. It takes some time. And my last note on being yourself is don't feel pressured. Be who you are, especially on Booktube. We have all kinds of readers. You've got Nicole from A Beautiful Chaos of Books. She regularly reads 20 plus books a month. I can't do that, but I applaud her for being that awesome. Then you have Cha Reads, who only does maybe 4 books a month in her TBR, or in her wrap-ups, and that's fine. If she only has time to read 4 books a month, good for her. Me, depending on the month, I can average anywhere from 4 to 14. It depends on my mood. It depends on the readathons and challenges that I'm doing. Like, who knows how many books I'm going to read in a month. As for collecting books, I've got a big collection. I've been collecting these things for years and getting them for birthdays and getting Barnes & Noble gift cards at Christmas. I collect things. It just seems to be who I am. But not all booktubers have a giant bookshelf. Check out Cindy from Read with Cindy. Not only is she super salty, which is awesome, but in starting Booktube, she only owned 4 books, and all the other books she's gotten since then have been gifts. She relies on her library because she just doesn't want to spend the money on books, and that's awesome. Support libraries. I also get a ton of books off of Libby, which is a library app, and I get books from my library, and I borrow books from friends. I got books coming from all sorts of places, but you don't have to have the fancy bookshelf behind you. You can have just a wall. You can have all of your pets and your cats lined up cheering you on during your video. Be yourself. It's one of the most comfortable things you can do. Unless, of course, being yourself is really uncomfortable. There are people like that. In that case, be maybe who you would like to be. But you get my point. So what would you add to this list? What have you learned from watching other people on Booktube? What are some basics that you think people should know when starting their Booktube channel and in getting through their first 6 months? Let me know down in the comments, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, friends.